And I'm going to start the summary.
So we have to be on our best behavior
No,
now?
you just means I have evidence. That's all. You can do what you want.
That's saying the same thing, Rhonda. Okay.
So I'm just gonna start around my screen and ask people just to introduce themselves and where they are. And maybe a question of, do you use social media? A little comment about that would be useful. I'm going to introduce Andrea Stenberg. Again, Andrea is a social media marketing guru. She's got quite an international following herself. She's from the Owen Sound, Ontario. But I don't think anyone else in the world knows that really. They just know that she is a proper, sorry, Andrea, you know about my broken words issues. You're going to get to know a lot about her through this day. So she's amazing. And I'm so glad she was able to volunteer, donate her time to do this today. Larry, just here at the top of my screen, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Larry Shapiro. I've been with Vancouver Abbeyfield Houses Society of Vancouver for a little over about 3.5 years now. I'm particularly interested in this session today because with all the emphasis being put on aging at home, I'm advocating very strongly for the Abbeyfield model, which is a fantastic model to keep people, particularly single elders, out of unnecessary long-term care because they do not have an alternative. I'm working with BC Housing and other government officials, and I think the social media aspect of it, which I have Oslam, who's with me now. She's really taking the lead on this. Is important to expose us, Abbeyfield, as a model. It's not so much for marketing our own, but to market the concept, the idea, and the model. And I invite many people from many organizations to come and visit. Any calls I get, I say I'll be happy to speak with you, but I want to see your feet in the mud here. Come in and we'll speak. And I've had many people go through the houses. Okay, I think I've said enough for now. Sorry, Rhonda, I do go on.
Thank you. Jim, do you mind?
No, I've been around Abbeyfield for about 20 years. Currently with Abbeyfield Ottawa. I do not participate with the social media, but there are a number of people now on the Ottawa board who do, and so hopefully I can pass on some information to them today. Thank you.
Thanks. Agnes?
Oh. Well, I'm the newest addition. I can only say for Larry that in terms of advocating for the model, you have now a great support from the latest studies which are showing that seniors, even in the retirement environment, they are being really lonely and isolated because not everybody takes very well to the resettlement to the unknown conditions. So the Abbeyfield model, it's that most important to basically scream about it, that we are offering the family settings. Now, when it comes to media, well, we have Facebook, we have website, but we really need some guidelines or some people to help us to comprehend all of it, because right now there are only 5 of us and 3 of us are really sick. So it's getting a little bit challenging. So I'm looking forward that maybe we come out with some comprehensive model that like the basic is there and we only need to enter certain segments, or I don't know, anything to make our life easier, but at the same time to make sure that whatever we do with our websites, it's being picked up by the search engines. Because you know that if they don't pick you up, you don't exist. So that's it for now.
Thanks, Agnes. Ruth.
Hi there, Ruth Helen, and I'm from St. Andrews Abbeyfield in Sydney, BC. And I personally use very little social media. I don't post anything, that type of thing. I think it's an age thing. We need to get younger people, and I'm sure that they live on their phones. Luckily, we have an assistant that helps us get these things done, but we still don't seem to be very capable of using it.
Thanks, Ruth. Awesome.
Hi, I'm coming from Abbeyfield House of Vancouver, as Larry said. Good morning, everyone. It's not about age, really, maybe, but I'm not a social media user at all. But since it's required, we need to work on it hard. I know that. So we need. I was talking about at last meeting. We need volunteers. We need lots of people, engagement in the house. So lots of activities and those pictures, those videos that we could upload could really explain what's going on in the Abbeyfield houses more than any words sometimes. Like because of that, I think we need those social media resources. So, and we can really create Instagram or Facebook, but as we need the activities and the volunteers and resources that could really feed it. It's not just having it, but how to feed it. I think it's also the question. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Linda.
Hi, everyone, and a special thank you to you, Andrea, for doing this. Really looking forward to learning from you. I'm Linda Dryden, and I'm the chair of St. Andrew's House in Sydney and the vice president for the West of Abbeyfield Canada. And I know very, very little about social media, but the one thing I do know is that we're not capitalizing on it. And that is largely because of our fear of it, I guess, and our attitude toward it. So we have as Ruth mentioned, we have a forward-looking, knowledgeable person on our board as our admin assistant who is much more conversant with it than we are. And we're fortunate in that way. So thank you, Andrea, again. I look forward to learning from you.
Melissa.
Hi there, Melissa, sitting in on behalf of Abbeyfield, Saskatoon. Anna and I work as a team through Ember Road, and we're just doing a contract, short contract to help Abbeyfield, Saskatoon with their fundraising and fund development. Anna is probably best to talk about social media. I feel like I'm one of those folks that didn't adopt social media as well, and maybe as a younger person. And I know that's where I get a lot of my information, but I don't post and so on. But Anna's definitely been working on the Abbeyfield Saskatoon website and looking forward to getting some direction and from Abbeyfield Canada on what we can start to reinvigorate the Facebook here in Saskatoon, because I think there's a great opportunity to engage folks there, but just not quite sure what direction we need to move in. So can I pass it to Anna?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Anna, who I watch a video every day almost that Anna puts out on LinkedIn.
Hi, folks. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Yeah, so we were, as Melissa mentioned, we are doing a little contract with Abbeyfield to help create some of that activity and some of that awareness, and to create some more reach and to be able to create some life, I guess, to the Facebook and social media page. So we're just at the moment starting. I just went and looked and I see the front page is not working, so I've got a bit of work to do. Yeah, I'm picking up little bits and pieces of different editors of the website, so it's hard to figure out which editor. Anyways, all that stuff to say, it's we're working on that to try and invigorate and reinvigorate and to create more followers so that we have more awareness. I'm very much a social media user, probably a little more of a Gen Xer. So I grew up on the forming the computers and the social media, and my kids all got involved, and so I got involved, and I felt like I was going to be left behind if I couldn't keep up with them. But really what we're using it for is really to create some brand awareness in Saskatoon, and we're just on the beginnings of doing some of that work. And right now, just really like so simple that we've just put the link on the Facebook page. Sorry, on the website. So you can now get to the Facebook page from the website. It's really an important thing to do, I think. And I think you're all kind of hitting it, that in order to reach certain demographics, you have to be seen in certain spaces. Like, Instagram would be the much younger group, but Facebook might still be the good group to consider when you're looking for, new tenants, new family members into your community. I think that's about it. Did I miss anything?
Nope, thanks, Anna. Bill Stanton.
Excuse me. I'm associated with the Toronto House in Toronto, the Toronto Abbeyfield, as well as on the national board. And I've been involved with Abbeyfield over 30 years. And I would say I am not a social media user at all, so I can relate to Jim and Ruth and Linda and just about everybody else here. I want to learn more, and I'm not liable to be doing it myself for Abbeyfield, Toronto, or on national at all, but I certainly would like to, what I can learn about it, and hopefully pass it on to some others in our group who would be doing that. So looking forward to learning what I can. And Andrea, we're looking forward to your comments.
Ron Black, please.
Thanks, Andrea. I'm sorry, not Andrea. I'm mobile right now, so I'm not going to participate a lot, but I'm certainly going to listen in. So I'm Abbeyfield Lakefield. We're in site plan approval right now with the municipality to build the newest Abbeyfield house in Lakefield, Ontario, hopefully starting this fall. But 4 years ago, we got a IRP grant, Investment Readiness Program grant from the government, $15,000. We used that to create our website, get all our social media lined up, as well as created a bunch of other pop-ups for displays and folders, and we did a trifold, all those sorts of things with that money. So in those 4 years, we've literally gained hundreds and hundreds of followers on Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call. I really felt it was important for us because I knew at some point we're going to need to have a capital campaign, which will probably start this fall, to build this facility. So we're gaining those followers. And if you follow social media at all, and I really didn't get into social media until COVID started, I got more involved in it. But when you get your reports back from your provider, it gives you the demographic, who's looking at those ads and who's looking at those postings. And so, while your demographic for Facebook is older crowd, Twitter and Instagram are younger, you got to remember that the younger folks are children of some of these folks that are trying to help them find a place to live as well. So connecting with the younger crowd is just as important as connecting with the older crowd, because a lot of the older crowd aren't on social media as well. So there's a couple of different reasons why you do all of them. And the other thing is you're also connecting with all of the other social service agencies in the region who know who you are. In fact, there are a number of people that think we're already open because we've posted, we have 8 postings a month on all three of them coming up. We're probably the media program of any of the Abbeyfields at this point. And you're welcome to look at Lakefield for all of them. You're welcome to look at them. We have a great program in place, and we really feel it's beneficial to to all of the aspects of the Abbeyfield fundraising, finding new tenants, all of those sorts of things. I think it's really important that we all move and move forward even more on a national basis, where, you know, for homes that don't have the resources, you know, it's so easy to program this stuff nowadays. It's programmed 3 months ahead. Ours is programmed 3 months ahead. And it can be done for all of the homes by one person, basically. So I think it's something that we have to get the consistency from the branding side of it as well, is part of what I see as the challenge. Everybody's got a different look of their website. Everybody's got a different look of their social media accounts. That consistency and branding is so important to growing the Abbeyfield model. I'll shut up now.
Thanks so much, Ron. Cindy, and then if Kevin comes back, we'll get him as well. And then Joe.
Hi, I'm I am the admin for Abbeyfield in Sydney. And I try to put as much stuff on our Facebook, and I do work on the website as well. So I do understand that consistency is important. Yeah, just here to hear, and Rhonda has been helping me with a lot of stuff, and we're just hoping to the name out there. Unfortunately, we have a website and we have a Facebook that doesn't have a whole lot of following and likes on. So we're just trying to get it known out there with the help of everyone here.
Thanks, Cindy. Joe.
Hi there, everyone. I'm on the national board, and I'm also on the Caledon Abbeyfield. And I will speak about the Caledon Abbeyfield. It's been very active in social media for the last almost 3 years now. We were fortunate enough to attract a director who was very skilled with it, and so she's been using that. And we've also, the other thing that's happened that was that we've been able to, over the last 2 years, to have individuals who actually are very skilled with the social media volunteer to help to work with her. So we've advanced very well with it and have quite a number of followers at the moment in the system. I'm personally a very big advocate of social media, quite active myself. And just as an aside, both what Larry says about our, you know, the need to get our motto out there, but also the other day I was on a webinar about how to involve the Generation X with media and stuff, and really those are the people who in fact have lived their whole lives with it. So we've got to get more of them attracted to us, because the boomers and the seniors like ourselves are a silent group of seniors. We're not that skilled yet, so let's bring some younger people into this discussion. Anyway, thanks.
Joe, we have different skills. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we do. Oh, I'm not underestimating us.
All right.
So I think Andrea and I have been, like I said, friends for a good number of years now. And so 2007, 2008, I was like, Andrea, what's the difference between a Facebook group and a Facebook page? What am I supposed to do? Why do I want to do it that way? And so back that time, that's where Andrea was starting her new business. And she's been a great help for me through all those years. I can't believe there's been that many. Andrea, I'm going to turn the page to you, if that's okay.
Okay. So first of all, before I kind of dive in, I just also wanted to highlight, besides being a marketing person, my first job out of university, I worked for a nonprofit that was developing housing co-ops in the Toronto area. So I am a good friend of nonprofit housing and other alternative housing forms. So I love the Abbeyfield model. I can see how wonderful that is. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And the other thing I wanted to say, for those of you who feel like maybe you're a little old to be supporting on social media, last year, a friend of my grandfather's passed away at 108. And when he hit 90, he sent me an email and said, I'm too old to be having art shows anymore. So I've put all my art on Flickr. Here's the link. And I kept like, he was doing social media, and he was just like, it was crazy, the stuff that he was doing. And so if he at 108 was still active on social media, any of you can do it. So just be aware of that. So my presentation today, I do have some slides. I want to warn you, just because some of what I'm going to talk about, you need some visuals. It's better than me talking, but this is not going to be a death by PowerPoint presentation. And this is a small group, so I do encourage you to ask questions as we go along. I'm sharing some examples and things, and then hopefully we can have a discussion about how you can apply some of those things to your own strategy. I'm going to be talking primarily about Facebook today, just because Facebook is kind of the giant in the room. It's still the #1 social media site, but I'm not talking about like which buttons to push or how to do things. I'm talking about higher level strategy. So the things that I'm talking about can apply to other social media. And if you have specific questions about, like if should you use Instagram or LinkedIn or about things, we can talk about those as well. But I'm going to be talking primarily about Facebook, but the strategies applies to everything. So let's dive in, and I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to be popping back and forth between sharing my screen and not sharing my screen. But the first little bit, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of how things work and how that impacts what you're trying to do in promoting your Abbeyfield house. So here we go. Here's the screen. So on Facebook, the average person has 338 friends. The numbers in brackets are my actual numbers. So you can see I'm above average in usage of Facebook, because I use Facebook primarily for business, although not exclusively. So the average person has 338 friends. They've followed 40 pages. Pages are businesses, celebrities, and organizations like Abbeyfield House. And then they belong to 15 groups. And so you can see I'm significantly more. So how does that impact you as well, what you're doing? So if you look at this circle, so if you're saying like the big circle is everybody's connections, they're like one person's, all their connections on Facebook. The inner circle are the people, the organizations and the groups that they're most interested in. So, my best friend from grade 3, I always look at her stuff. I'm taking a couple of classes online, and we have Facebook groups for the class. I'm really interested in those because it's feedback and additional training. There's some local businesses and some other organizations that I'm very interested in. I look at all those posts. So that's sort of the inner circle. The middle circle is I'm sort of interested in it, but I don't really care to see everything. And then the outer circle, for example, in friends and family, maybe you're Facebook friends with your second cousin twice removed new husband, but he's the most boring person in the world. And so you accepted his Facebook friend request because you didn't want to be rude, but you don't want to see the stuff that he talks about unless you have insomnia, because he's the most boring person in the world. So and everybody's Facebook is like that. They have a bunch of things in the middle that they're really interested in. They want to see all the posts from these people, these organizations, or these groups, and then lesser interest in everything else. And the other interesting thing is, like Rhonda alluded to, I have clients and colleagues all over the world. So I have people from UK, from New Zealand, from Australia, from the United States. But in spite of me having a very global connections, in that inner circle, a large percent of them are people within a certain geographic proximity to where I am physically existing. And that's going to be the same with a lot of the people that you're going to be trying to connect with to get them to follow your social media. Is they're going to have people spread all out, and there's going to be people that they're in organizations and groups that they're more or less interested in, but a larger percentage of them are going to be in the same geographic region. So the fact that people have these large numbers of connections on Facebook or any social media, it's the challenge and the opportunity. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a second. So I'm going to talk about how Facebook and all the social media sites function And one of the things is they have something called the Facebook algorithm. Has anybody ever heard of the algorithm? Basically, what that is, so if you're the average person on Facebook with 338 friends and family, you've liked or followed 40 pages of organizations, and you belong to 15 groups, that's almost 400 entities on Facebook. Now imagine if each one of those people, organizations, and groups makes one post a day. That would be almost 400 posts. And if every time you logged in, you had 400 new posts, that would be a little bit overwhelming. And then we all know there are people who post 4, 5, 6 times a day, and some of them it's really boring stuff. If you belong to a group, I have groups where there might be, a dozen posts a day, plus each post might get 5 or 6 comments. So you can imagine if you were sitting, you pull up your phone, you look at Facebook, and you get inundated with all this stuff, some of which you're interested in, some of which you're not, you're going to feel overwhelmed. And what's going to happen is you're just going to go, this is meaningless. This is all crap, and go and do, read a book, go for a walk, talk to somebody in the 3-dimensional world instead of being on Facebook. But Facebook only makes money if all of us who are on Facebook spend as much time as possible on Facebook, because the more time we spend on Facebook is the more time for people who pay for advertising to actually show up and have you see their ads. So to prevent you from feeling overwhelmed by having all this mishmash of random stuff being thrown at you every day, Facebook has created an algorithm. It's a type of artificial intelligence. It's a software program, and it filters out the posts that the people and the organizations and the groups have made that you're connected to, and only shows you the stuff that Facebook thinks is going to be of most interest to you. Because if you only see stuff that you're really interested in, you're going to spend more time on Facebook. So how does the Facebook algorithm decide what's of interest to you? Facebook doesn't publish what their algorithm is and how they do it. They talk about it and make hints about what it is. And then people like me and other marketers and other experts, through trial and error and analyzing data, have figured out what it probably is and how it works. So the people and organizations and groups that you most interact with, so, like if somebody makes a post and you always like it or comment or share it, that's a signal to Facebook. Oh, Andrea's really interested in this page, this person, this group. Let's show her more of that group. Likewise, if there's a type of post or a type of content that I interact with a lot, Facebook will also say, oh, Andrea likes this, let's show Andrea more of it. So maybe if I watch lots of videos, it's going to show me more videos. If I like, I don't know if those of you who are on Facebook have seen where it's like, what type of Hollywood princess are you? And there's like a quiz and you go through and then it tells you which. So if I do that, it's going to show me more of that. For example, one time I made the mistake of watching a video about guinea pigs. And for about the next 2 weeks, Facebook kept showing me videos about guinea pigs. And I was like, oh, why is it showing me this? But it's because the algorithm is trying to entice me to spend more and more time on Facebook. Another thing that could happen. So those of you who are running the Facebook page for your Abbeyfield house, you probably know, like say you have 100 people who follow your Facebook page. They've clicked the like button and said, yes, I want to be updated. If you make a post on the Abbeyfield page, not all 100 people are going to see it. Probably initially, maybe only 10 or 15 people. But if the first couple of hours after you make a post, a flurry of people comment or like or share that post, the Facebook algorithm gets flagged and go, ooh, this is really interesting content. People really like it. Let's show it to even more of the people who follow this Abbeyfield house page. And so even more people will see it. So the challenge for you as trying to promote your Abbeyfield house is you can see there's lots of competition with people's attention looking at Facebook. you versus everything else. So you have to be, really trying to think about what are the people that are following you interested in. But you also have to kind of be strategic about what you're posting. And there are some things, and in a bit, I'm going to show you some examples and then talk about how you can apply that to what you do that can increase the opportunity for you to be seen by the people who are already following you and also get found by new people, because that's part of the challenge as well. So on Facebook, you can have your personal profile. So there's, like, for me, I've got Andrea, I'm on Facebook. And as me, I can go around, and if there's, if Rhonda and I weren't already Facebook friends, I could go, oh, I want to be friends with Rhonda. I can go find her and I can send her a friend request. I also have a business page. As a business, and a business page, and it would be the same as, an Abbeyfield House page. As a page, I can't go and invite people to like my page as my page. I have to kind of wait for them to come and find me. Now, I can put on, go back to using Facebook as Andrea, and I can go to my personal Facebook friends and say, hey, I've got this business page. Can you go check it out? But when I'm using Facebook as my page, I can't do that. So that's one of the challenges. And when Facebook first created pages for organizations and businesses, you could just say, I have a Facebook page, and people go, ooh, you have a page for your organization? I will go check it out. But now that people are following 40 or more pages, they're kind of like, it's almost like giving up your email. Nobody wants to give you their email unless they really need to, because they get too much stuff. So you have to work a little bit harder and be a little bit more creative to get people even to visit your page and like it. And then once they've liked it, you still have to work to keep in front of them. So does that make sense to everybody? And it's the same with, if you're on Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it now, Instagram, LinkedIn, they all do that same thing, is they go filter out the stuff that they think each individual user is most interested in. And so you have to try to be interesting enough that people will see your posts. And that's a challenge. So I've got some examples of and I've focused mostly on local to Owen Sound, just because those are the organizations I know, but I've got some examples of some posts, and then we can talk about what that means for you and what you do. So I'm going to share my screen again. And so these are two posts from the United Way Grey Bruce. And so the one on the left, Monday, I don't know if you can see at the bottom, there's one like. One person has liked that post. The one on the right, there's 47 people have liked it, and there's been 2 comments and 5 shares. And these are both the same organization, and they're all like within 2 weeks of each other, these posts made. So does anybody have any thoughts, comments of what you think the one on the right did better than the one on the left?
You're human there.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's called Facebook for a reason. We like faces. So yes, there's a human. The woman on the left is the executive director of the United Way. Everybody knows her. She talks to everybody. And then the gentleman on the right is the person from Roberts Farm Equipment who made the donation. So it's like real people. So one of the things, I didn't look to see who shared it, but I can pretty much guarantee at least one of the shares was the Roberts Farm Equipment Sales who made the donation. They probably shared it to their own Facebook page because they're trying to show, look, we're supportive of the community. I'll bet you he also shared it to his personal profile. I bet you his wife shared it. And there may have been a few other things like that. So that's an opportunity. Like one of the ways you can sort of get more visibility and more engagement on your Facebook page is find ways so that it's not just the people who liked your page that see it, but that other people can see it. So for example, those of you who are on Facebook, but maybe you're not really active and maybe you're not going to post on behalf of your organization, if you can like a post that your page makes and comment on it and share it to your personal profile, it increases the chance that new people who haven't already followed the page are going to see it. And also, remember I said about the algorithm, if after a post is made, it gets a lot of activity, that's a signal to Facebook, oh, this is interesting content, we should show it to more people. So that's one way, even if you're not the one posting on behalf of your organization, that you can help spread the word is by liking and commenting on sharing. One caveat about that is you don't necessarily want to share every single post that is made by your page, because the Facebook has gotten harder. And if it's the, maybe the same 4 people that are sharing every single post, they're like, oh, it's just these people, they're gaming the system. And so then your reach was going to go down. So you don't want to do it all the time, but you do. And also you don't want to be that person who all you're doing is sharing this, Abbeyfield House and nothing else. And your Facebook friends are going, oh my God, Harry is talking about it again. I don't want to see it. So you have to be judicious about it, but it's a way that you can work together to make sure the content gets seen. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts? Larry?
I think what you're saying is give Abbeyfield a face, give your own Abbeyfield a face and its own personality. And just as you would want to keep people interested in you and your activities, keep refreshing this face and treat it almost as a person.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm getting out of it, and I like that message very much.
Okay, good. And Joe, did you have a
Yeah, I was
comment
just
or
going to
thought?
say it's interesting because a lot of my family and friends know that I'm involved with Abbeyfield. But since in the last year, I've posted a couple articles from Abbeyfield. It's been quite different, the reaction I get when I meet them now. I mean, they remember that much more than they did when they just know I did it, type of thing. And the other thing is, your discussion made me think very quickly about, I belong to a group of graduates that I graduated with 50 years ago. And we meet on a quarterly basis, type of thing. Well, they're all social workers across Canada. I mean, those are the people we want to reach in our message, our motto, et cetera. So I think those are the things that we got to all think about a bit. And who is it that we can, and we only need 1 or 2 each, and the network just booms. Thanks.
Exactly. And then the other thing, about these 2 examples is when you're thinking about what to share on the Facebook page, is making sure that it's something that's interesting and relevant, and like whoever it was said, like faces. People, we are genetically programmed to look at faces, and we want to see who it is. And if it can be people, in the community, that's fabulous. Even if you have, photos of residents of the houses, their family and friends are all going to want to see it, and they're going to comment and engage. So that's one of the opportunities. Now I've got another one to show you. And so these are both also from February. The one on the right is the Canadian Mental Health Association Grey Bruce. And you can see this was a photo that they've then probably used Canva or some other piece of software to take a bunch of photos and turn it into one photo, and it's promoting Pink Shirt Day. The one on the left is a post by a woman. I'm not mentioning her name. Rhonda probably knows who it is because I didn't get a chance to ask her if I could share this, but she's very public. She works for Canadian Mental Health Association. She shared this to her personal profile. And you can see some of the photos on the left are included in that photo montage on the right. And I don't know if you can see, but so the one on the left had over 60 likes and reactions, 6 comments, 1 share. The one on the right had 17 likes and 4 shares. And so this is also kind of highlights a few things and a few opportunities. So can anybody venture a guess of why they think the one, even though there are a lot of them the same photos, why the one on the left shared to her personal got so much more engagement than the CMHA Grey Bruce official page?
To me, it's less busy. It's focused on certain items. It doesn't throw lots of things in your face.
Yeah, that may be one of them. Anybody else?
It was simpler. It was, there was that main photo, and rather than too many of the smaller ones, there was that one focus hit you, and it struck me as, more better way to do it.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is, so let me share because then maybe it'll be just easier to understand. So, as I said, this one on the right that was shared to the organization's Facebook page is actually one photo, but they've used a software to take a bunch of photos and turn it into one. The one on the left is actually 3 separate photos that were uploaded directly to Facebook, and then Facebook creates this little graphic. And if she had uploaded more than 3, the bottom right image would have a little plus, and then if you clicked on it, you could see all the other ones. And that's kind of important because the one from the organization, even though it's really busy, Facebook sees that as one photo because it was one photo uploaded to Facebook. The one on the left, which she shared to her personal, was actually 3 separate photos. And so Facebook is like, oh, she shared 3 things. So that's more opportunities for people to see it. The other reason the one to her personal profile got more engagement is, so I happen to know her personally. She works for the CMHA Grey Bruce workshops, public speaking training. She's like one of the big faces of the organization, but she's out there in the community all the time. And she's like, everybody knows her. And she's very active in the 3-dimensional world. She's also very active on Facebook. So it's not surprising to me that when she shares something like this on her personal Facebook, she just gets tons of engagement because everybody knows her, everybody likes her. And, when I ever see any of her posts, I'm always, oh, what is she up to now? And I'll check it out and see. So it's somebody who's really active in real life and on Facebook, and people know her and engaging. So this is where, if you have somebody in your organization, whether it's somebody on the board, whether it's somebody who is a volunteer, whether it's staff, whoever it is, if you have somebody who's really active on whichever social media platform, that's great to have them be part of the face of your organization. It's also great if you have somebody who's known in the community, because when they post, other people pay attention. So, can you find people in your organization that can be advocates? And whether it's, and I don't know if you noticed, like, she didn't just take the post from the organization's page and reshare it to her personal. She took those photos and uploaded them as well, so that she's spreading the word. The one thing I would have loved to have seen her do is actually tag the organization in the post so people could click through and go back. But everybody knows who she is and knows where it is. So that's an opportunity you have, is think about who is connected to your organization, and can you encourage them, help them, support them to spread the word, not just on your Facebook page, but even on their own personal social media. That make sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions, comments, ideas they want to throw out about this? All right, I've got another.
And we're all here. We're all taking it in.
All right, I've got another example, and this one's a little bit unfair, but I'm going to show it because it is kind of brilliant and it does give some other ideas. So this is the Owen Sound Animal Shelter. And so this one on the left, they have some puppies and they're having to feed them. And you can see there was almost 690 likes of this particular photo, 56 comments and 26 shares. And the reason I'm saying it's a little bit of an unfair advantage, it's puppies. Who doesn't love puppies and kittens and all the other animals that they share photos of? But they also have done something really interesting. So you can see the one on the right, it's the Owen Sound Attack is our local junior A hockey. It's the one that's like 17, 18-year-olds that are, you know, semi-pro. Anyway, they have partnered with the animal shelter. You can see they posted a picture saying this dog needs to be adopted. We're keeping it up until it gets adopted. And then if you look in the caption, it says, go to Mix 106.5 page on Facebook for more details. That's our local radio station. So this animal shelter has got the hockey team and the radio station helping them spread the word and get more out there. Now, obviously, like, this is hugely unfair. Puppies, like, I check their Facebook page all the time. I have no interest in getting any more pets. I have more than enough, but I check them because it's my daily dose of cuteness. But the fact that they've also got then the radio station and the hockey team helping support them. Now, I'm not involved with the Owen Sound Animal Shelter, so I don't know if this was a formal relationship with the hockey team, or if the hockey team just, somebody at the hockey team just wanted to help out, get this animal adopted. I know they do have a formal relationship with the radio station because they often have things on the radio station about these are the animals that are up for adoption. But that's something that you can sort of piggyback on and think about for your local Abbeyfield house. Are there other organizations or groups or individuals who are active in the community that you can work with to spread the word about what you're doing? And, you know, doesn't have to, like, if you could get a radio station, that would be fabulous. Probably not as likely as the animal shelter, but I don't know. Maybe you have a connection with your local radio station, or you have somebody who can do something. But even if there's just an individual who is really active on social media that can and is well known. For example, their former mayor of Owen Sound is no longer mayor, but is still really active on social media, has a big following. If I was involved in an organization that I wanted to get the word out, that would be one person I would contact and say, hey, would you help us, promote this or support us, or, find somebody. And it doesn't have to be somebody famous. It could be just somebody who's really active and engaged, and, get them helping to spread the word. Because every time you get something about Abbeyfield in front of new people, it gives you the opportunity to bring in new people to your Facebook page, new people to your be volunteers. It lets people, if you have a vacancy and you're looking for residents, it lets people know about that anytime you can get in front of new people. And so can you think of creative ways to partner with other people to get the word out? And so the way, and was it Ron who was talking about they've got like 3 months in advance planned out. It doesn't have to be something that you're doing every day. It doesn't have to be hugely onerous. What you need to do is start, make a plan of the types of things you want to talk about, the types of things you want to share, and get in the habit of, everybody's got one of these with them. Get in the habit of, when you're at the Abbeyfield house or doing things with people, take photos, take videos, so that you have a stockpile of images to use on your social media. And then think about, for example, the United Way had just the random, oh, happy Monday, which got no engagement, versus we had a donor and we had pictures of real people, gets engagement and shares. And you want to think about approximately 70% of the things you post are value-based, and it should, whether it's entertainment or education about what you do. 20% could be shared posts. So maybe some of you have created things just talking about generically about what Abbeyfield, the movement, what it means. You could reshare from other people, some of the other pages, if it's generic and education. And then 10% can be a call to action. Like, we're looking for a volunteer to do this thing, or we have a vacancy, let's do this, or we need we need whatever it is you need. So if you think about that, and then you can get together with whoever's going to be in charge of social media and brainstorm a bunch of these topics and plan them out ahead of time. And then also get in the habit of making sure pictures and videos are taken. And then it can be the same for whether you're doing LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter. And that's kind of, how you start building up your audience and building up your following is great content. Can you partner with other organizations and also work together to share? Now, there's a couple other things that you can do that's going to increase the amount of activity and engagement you get. So does any of you here have like sort of an email list that you email to volunteers and donors and interests for your group? Because one of the things that you can do that, remember I said, the algorithm, if it gets lots of engagement, the algorithm will say, ooh, this is interesting content. Let's show it to more people. So one of the tricks, and you don't want to do it every time or people will stop opening your emails. But if you've made a post that you really want to start getting some engagement on, maybe you've got a fundraising event coming up, or there's something that important that you really want to get the word out. If you post it to Facebook, you can actually get a URL just for that post and send in your email, say, hey, we just made this post on Facebook. We're really trying to get the word out about this. Would you mind going to the Facebook post and leaving a comment or sharing it if it makes sense? Because then you can get a bunch of new people that, it's not the same 4 people that are always liking your comments, but new people. And if you can get them to share it, then you can get the word out. And then all of a sudden Facebook algorithm says, ooh, this post got a way more engagement than other stuff in the past. Let's show it to more of the people that already like the page. And then you get the word out. So that's one strategy to do. But again, you don't want to do it for every post, because then everybody who gets your emails is going to go, oh my God, Abbeyfield's telling me again to go to Facebook. Stop it. So just do it for the really important ones. Another thing you can do if you don't have an email list, or you don't want to overwhelm your email list, is there's always the old-fashioned pick up the phone and call individuals and say, hey, we're really trying to promote this, whatever it is. Would you go to our Facebook page and share it for this one? And again, it's not something you want to do too often, but if you do it strategically for the really important or the really interesting, or something where you really want to get the word out, you can then spread the word. And amongst your volunteers, your board members, even your residents, some of them are probably on social media, or their families, start talking to them and training them to share the Abbeyfield message on their social media. Even if they just go and like it, that's going to help get it more in front of people. So it's not something that you're going to do overnight, but it is something, as you get more engagement, as you get more things happening, it will gradually grow. It should never be the only marketing activity you're doing, but if you're consistent and strategic about it, you can absolutely grow and get seen in front of new people. But it has to be working with other people, working with people within your organization, and then even with amongst yourselves, with the other Abbeyfield houses, periodically sharing content saves you time, and you don't have to create a new post. But if somebody created something that's really great about the message behind Abbeyfield, everybody should just piggyback and share it. So that's kind of all I wanted to talk about today. Does anybody have any specific questions, ideas about their own? Rhonda.
So we did I volunteer at an Abbeyfield house in Durham. They had a great volunteer or Valentine Day, and they did a little they gave everyone a board and to write their special advice. My advice to you. And every one of the residents did a picture. They had a picture of that. And then I downloaded them, and then I put them in a reel. And I could not believe the energy that I got on my Facebook page about that, partly because it was engaging, it moved around, it was kind of a movie, but also because everyone knew somebody in that thing. And I was shocked at the difference, at the action that came to. So even if you have 3 or 4 photos of an event, put them in what they call a reel, and share that. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to do it again because I don't want anyone to think I'm boring them. But
yeah, and a reel is just when you have a video on the phone that's vertical as opposed to horizontal, and they're usually short. And the reels came about from TikTok, and then Instagram copied it. And then because Facebook owns Instagram, they started doing them on Facebook. So short videos. And so, yeah, it doesn't even have to be an actual video. You can take a bunch of photos, put them together, and make it into a video, and people like that. In fact, Facebook is encouraging people to do more video rather than just photos and captions, because people spend more time with them. So if you can do that, that is a fabulous way to get engagement. And like Rhonda said, if you've got photos of a bunch of residents, they all have family members who want to see it and may share it, and are, and people in the community go, who do I know there? Oh, that's somebody, that's somebody. So people love, it's called Facebook because we want faces.
We're using chat right now. So if you know your Facebook URL link, put it in the chat, and then everyone right now has a chance to maybe open that up and take a look and maybe do a like. Andrea, can you talk us about the impact of hashtags?
Okay, so hashtags, does anybody here not know what hashtags are on social media? Okay, so hashtags started on Twitter, and it's like the number sign, so that little pound, the pound sign, the number sign with a word right behind it, and it's like a keyword, and it doesn't have to be one word, it can be a phrase. So the hashtag Abbeyfield Durham could be a hashtag that the Abbeyfield Durham might use, and they're searchable on social media. So if, like, for example, they're not as important on Facebook, but for example, Instagram, if there's things that I'm looking for, I will often search a hashtag to see posts on that content. Hashtags with your geographic location may be helpful. Instagram is telling people not to use lots of hashtags, although I got to tell you, I've been testing, and when I do posts with no hashtags and posts where I have a bunch of hashtags, I always get more reach and more engagement. So basically it's a way to signal the algorithm what the content is, although the algorithm's getting smarter about reading captions and understanding, but it's also, people can follow them. It's more important on Instagram and probably Twitter, X, than on Facebook, because Instagram is also more opportunity to be discovered by new people. Hashtags can also be used on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn, when you're doing posts on LinkedIn, well, I think it's 3 or 4 that they want you to use, not more than that, but it's around topics. So for what I might do for you is have the name of your house as a hashtag, maybe the name of your location, so the city that you're in, and then maybe something like seniors housing or something like that as a hashtag.
Rhonda, do you know if there's a standard for the hashtag yet for Abbeyfield societies around the world?
If you do hashtag Abbeyfield, if you do a search, you'll see Abbeyfields from across the world. I just put that in the chat.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we would start with our hashtag Abbeyfield.
And then see what else opens that up. Because then if I'm doing Abbeyfield Durham or Abbeyfield Canada, it'll hear the Abbeyfield.
Okay.
And you'll search around. I also do another one. I do hashtag senior living. Again, trying to figure out who those groups are. Hashtag by location. So hashtag Armstrong. So
Yeah.
people in Armstrong will catch that and say, what the heck?
The other thing
At
is,
Saskatoon, the holiday park, you need to get into their groups there and then hashtag them as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. Do you have, and I have another question, sorry, Andrea.
no, good.
Do you have any suggestions for those around the room who are just kind of getting started? Like, would there be a way to kind of like, what would you be? Let's just say, so they've never done Facebook before. What's a way to say, hey, we're here, you know, here we are. And then what would be the best way to get people some traction there? You had mentioned the email list. So I'm just thinking of some of the folks around here who haven't done any posts at all. What would be a nice, easy, safe, you know, don't get too worried about causing horrible viral things.
Well, I mean, they are unlikely to do anything that's going to go hugely viral. I would say is like, get your volunteers and at the bare minimum, get each of them to like the page, follow the page, and then start getting them to, you know, start interacting with what you post. So, you know, liking, commenting, maybe try to get everybody to share once a week, share one post to their personal profile. Just something really simple like that is a good way to get started. If you've never posted before, it might be a good thing to sit down and as a group of your volunteers for your Abbeyfield house and go look at some of the other Abbeyfield houses Facebook pages and then like brainstorm what are like the next 4 weeks of posts we could do and decide, are you going to post twice a week? Like that might be a good one. Decide you're going to post twice a week and then say, okay, what are the value-based posts that we can share about what Abbeyfield is, what it means? Can we share, what are some posts we can share from some of the other Abbeyfield houses? And then what are we trying to ask people to do? Are we looking for volunteers right now? Are we trying to fill a vacancy? And then plan out those posts just for the next month. You can do it as a group, figure out what they do and decide on a schedule that is reasonable, you know, so more is better than less. But if you say, I'm going to post every single day and you do it for 7 days and then never post again for 6 months, that's not good. And so if you think, okay, we could post twice a week, we could do that and commit to it. That's a great way to get going.
Larry has a question.
Yeah, Rhonda,
Yes.
we're going to fall into everybody reinventing the same wheel here. There's got to be a way that within this. By the way, Anna, you can call it a Zoom room, which is okay, right? There you go. If we could start with maybe the best example we have, and as we come up with ideas and improve upon them, share them with all the houses. I think there could be a tremendous synergy and benefit by all of us. And Joe, figure a way how to coordinate this. I think it's important, and I think we could make headway quickly. And if there's something somebody sees that likes it, they can adopt it. If they can't, because they're aiming at perhaps a different audience, or perhaps there's a particular push for to fill vacancies, but somebody else is looking to perhaps push financial help or whatever. We'll have a bank of the best performers in all these specific areas at our fingertips. What do you think?
I think, again, it's more than one person to do that. But one of the things that I could suggest is that there are special days that we want to support. For instance, April is National Volunteer Week. So that's a good stream to figure. And then I've sent everyone the logos for the National Volunteer Week that you can use. You can add that to your posting, and then promote one of your volunteers or a series of your volunteers over that week. We also do National Seniors Seniors Month or in our day, I guess, in October. And there's other events that we would want to, and that's something that we could talk to our community communications team to maybe pick out those high points that we could send them to you, but then you would up to you to post.
Yeah, but I think I heard Larry also talk about more like a toolkit for social media for the homes, eh?
Yeah.
That too, for sure.
Something that would help the homes understand and support them in getting more involved. Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at who's on the site, and there's a lot of homes that aren't here today.
Yeah.
And we need to find a way that to me, that means they're not using social media, or they haven't figured out that it's a tool that would help within some of the issues that they're facing.
Andrea, I'm also wondering if there's anybody around the table who doesn't have a page started at all. And if so, maybe you could talk about how to start one, but I'm not sure.
And Anna, I think most people have it around the room.
In the email that I sent out to everyone, there is a list of Abbeyfield houses that are active. And I think that email, those names are all linked. So please open those links and you get onto the pages, and please, some of them really need a hug. The
Rhonda,
other thing in strategic
Sydney
plan
on there. Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Sydney House wasn't on that email, by the way.
Okay.
Just an FYI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, and I know there are a number of houses that had a good 300 or 400 people liking on their page, and then they lost their administrator. So they started again, and now they're down to 10 or 15 people on their page. So make sure you've got a backup person.
And that actually brings me to something that I wanted to mention. So I can't tell you the number of times I've gotten phone calls from whether it's businesses or organizations where they had either an employee or they had a summer student who set up their Facebook page and was doing their posting. And then when they left, nobody knew how to get in. I had one instance where it was an employee who set up the page, and then she intentionally, she left on bad terms and intentionally tried to damage their reputation. Now, when Facebook first created pages, like everybody who had access to the page had the same level of access. Now they've gotten smarter, and so you can have an admin, and you can have more than one administrator, and the administrators can add and remove people who can post, and they can change the page. They can even delete the page. So you want to make sure whoever's an administrator is somebody really trusted, and you want to have at least 2 people. And then you can also have editors. So you can have people who can post to the page, so they can create content and upload it to the page, but they can't delete the page. They can't add or subtract new editors and new administrators. So that's a way, for example, if you had a volunteer who wanted to post and wanted to help post, but you don't know them well enough or trust them well enough to make them be a full administrator, you can have people do that. So what I really recommend is for the social media policy, or you want to have a policy, and probably the board needs to plan that, where you want to have at least 2 people who are full admins. If somebody who's one of the administrators leaves the organization, they should be removed as an administrator, and somebody else should be added. And also policies about who can post, and make those people editors. And this should be something that should be part of your kind of periodic planning and discussion at the board level, because it can be really frustrating to create a big following and get lots of people, and then have suddenly you've lost it all because you've lost track of who has access. Larry,
is there a policy or a written sort of practice on that somewhere, or is that just good wisdom from you?
I mean, you can do, search online for policy, but it can be really simple. Like just say, okay, we always want to have at least 2 board members be administrators. And then if there's somebody else who you absolutely trust, that maybe they're really, it's a staff person or a volunteer who's really active on social media and you really trust them, you could make them an administrator, or other people be a editors, people who can post, but they can't do things. So it doesn't have to be really complicated or formal, but you just need to make sure that that's part of the thing, is whoever's administrators, that you always have at least 2.
Larry, have you got your hand still up?
Yeah, Joe. I was thinking, can we talk a little bit about hacking now that you brought up the subject of that malcontented employee that did some harm or attempted to do some harm, and how do we protect ourselves against that, Andrea?
Well, so in the early days of Facebook, people created pages and they would have separate logins. So you would have a username and a password to log into Facebook as the business page. And then Facebook changed it. So now you log into Facebook as your own personal, and then you switch a tab to make yourself be the Abbeyfield page, for example. So to prevent that kind of thing is you need to make sure that you have, as admins, people you trust. And if somebody who's an admin leaves the organization for any reason, immediately remove them as an admin and have another person. Now, you don't have to have 2. You could have a policy that the entire board is an administrator, but a lot of times, not everybody on the board wants that, knows how to do it, or is even interested in that. But you just it needs to be really vigilant. Just like if somebody has keys to the building and they leave, you get the keys back. It needs to be like right at the same moment. They give back the keys, they remove them as administrator of the Facebook page and any other access that they would have. It's that important.
Okay.
And I think it's something that a lot of people forget, but it really is, it's an important asset. And just like you wouldn't let them still have keys to the building, you wouldn't let them still have access to your bank accounts. You have to make sure anybody leaves, even if they're leaving on good terms, if they're no longer involved in the organization, they should not be an admin on the Facebook page. And it's also, if you're leaving on good terms, it's kind of a kindness, because I've got a lot of Facebook pages that I'm still admins on that I'm no longer involved, but I keep getting the notifications and I keep asking, like, please take me off. But it's good practice and good policy, just as with any other asset for the organization.
I'll tell, how many people here, if you just turn a hand up, that you're doing social media for one of the houses? I know Cindy is, I am, Agnes is, Anna, I suspect is. What we could do is, no, but a reach out would be, is if someone else is always doing Facebook on one of our pages, to reach out and ask them if they would help you. For instance, anytime you want, you can reach out to me and you can add me as administrator and editor, or probably administrator, so that if someone disappears, at least there's one person there that can pick it up. And I'm happy to volunteer to do that for you if that's helpful. But if there may be others who can willing to take that on as well.
I think, Rhonda, I will take you on that offer, because you know that our little team is under medical stress. And I cannot manage to add everything I want and what happens. So
right. And then a couple of us can maybe put up a little check box for things to do if you're trying to set up a new page, or a handout for that. I think I've sent each of the houses have the branding guides and the branding colors.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're using those. There's, if you want to, shine up your pictures in some way, I've told you before that canva.com is a great tool. If you've got someone in your group that, I am not a graphic designer, but I can do some pretty nice things with that. So, and if you do canva.com or canvapro.com, because you're already a charity, you can sign yourselves up as under the pro account, and that gives you full access to that whole program. So it gives you lots more colors and lots more photos and lots more tools. You can load up your branding colors that I've sent you, and it'll create a tool for you to, as you're doing backgrounds or whatever, or titles. Bill, and then Larry.
Rhonda, could you tell me, does Abbeyfield Toronto or Abbeyfield Scarborough Bluffs, do we have a Facebook page?
You do. It's under Scarborough Bluffs.
Yeah.
And whoever is doing it, is it Jeff that's doing it? I don't know. Scarborough. I'll just share it in a second here. Hey, and there's your page.
Really?
Yeah. And they've got 37 likes and 60 followers.
Oh.
And this is the piece about National Volunteer Week coming up. Taking advantage of that, right?
You can't tell who the administrator is.
I can't.
No.
Well, but I think it's probably, but I'll bet you that it's likely Jeff, and he might have someone else helping him.
Yeah. Okay.
There's your in October, your pumpkins. And there's you guys doing your pumpkin work.
It could be Jeff. Although I can think of another lady too. Okay, that's great.
And this is the last summer. This is the last summer newsletter that we did. These are Durham girls. They're making strawberry jam.
Uh-huh. Well, we're established.
So you're getting there, but yeah, so we can all help.
Work harder at promoting it. Good. Okay, thank you.
Anything else people want to see while I'm here? Okay, let's stop up that then.
For the discussion around, coming up with best practices or best ideas is maybe, Rhonda, one of the things you could do. I don't know how often you guys, like Abbeyfield Canada communicates, but maybe every month or two is put out a call for everybody to share like the best performing posts that they did on Facebook, or if they've done something that's particularly creative or interesting or that got lots of interest, and just have a document with a bunch of links so that people can use it for inspiration, or maybe even as this thing that you're going to reshare from somebody else's page to your own page.
The communications team is actually in the middle of a conversation right now about figuring out those key messages. So we will send those key messages out. We just did, yeah, Joe.
Just one question. Some of the groups may have more than one or Facebook page. How easy is it to get rid of some of them?
If you still have access to it, it's easy. If it's a case of somebody created it and then they've left the organization and you don't know how to get a hold of them, it's virtually impossible. It is almost impossible to get a hold of somebody at Facebook unless you're at the level of spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on Facebook advertising.
It's interesting because I just typed in Abbeyfield Canada and got a page that had 13 people on it and have nothing. Obviously hasn't been used in years.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating thing about Facebook is,
Yep.
you know, if because I can't tell you the number of times I've gotten calls from organizations and businesses where they've lost access to it, and it is just impossible. That's why and even some big organizations, like
Yeah.
big organizations, that they just treated it as a secondary thought, and then when all of a sudden they realize, oh, we need this, it's too late. So that's where you need to treat it the same as the keys to the building. If somebody has keys to the building and they leave the organization, obviously you take the keys back. You also need to take the keys to Facebook back too.
Yeah, I think in the case of the local society here, I think there's 3 pages circulating. And I don't, I know we've tried to find a way out. We haven't been able to, so.
There's a couple of groups that don't exist anymore as well, like Dominion City and
Yeah.
Abbeyfield Artemisia, those as
Right.
well.
And so unless you've got the original administrator or access person, you can't get really in. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I've helped organizations try to deal with it, and it's just Facebook has become so monstrously big and they just don't care.
So that becomes even more important to protect what you've got.
Yeah,
Okay.
and treat it as the same as the keys to the building and the access to your bank account. You need to make sure. And also why, it doesn't have to be nefarious. It could be somebody gets hit by a bus, and if they're the only admin, you're in trouble, or or they go traveling around the world and you can't get a hold of them. So that's why I always recommend at least 2 people, and it has to be people that you absolutely trust, because if they want to, they can delete the page. So you have to really trust them. And then because you can now have people who can post to the page, but they don't have control over the other stuff, you can be a little freer about, okay, we have this high school student who's volunteering with us and they're willing to post. You can let them post, and you don't have to worry that they could delete the page or do something crazy, because all you have to worry about is that they're posting appropriate content.
Yeah, and so you could actually allow board members to post if you had the trust in them, et cetera. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Well, that's great, everyone. We're an hour and a half, which is generally what we try not to go longer than. I'd like to really thank Andrea. And if anyone else has any other comments or follow-ups as we're doing, that would be terrific. Any other comments as we wrap up?
Thank you.
So Andrea, thanks so much. And we will be posting you will be in our feed.
Okay, and I've added my email address to the chat. So if somebody has questions, I'll be happy to answer. Please don't try anything that's going to take too long, but if you have quick questions and things, I'll do my best to answer them or send you to a resource that that has them.
Well, I think while we are watching you and listening, we are learning a lot, and we now probably want to go and look at our own pages, when after that we might have some more pictures, questions, or what pictures or whatever. So that's why, right now we are a little bit absorbing all this knowledge and learning, and it's difficult to on the spot to see what actually will transpire later when we look at our own pages. So thank you very much. And we hope that, if we run into some special problem, you can guide us through it. And thank you for organizing all this.
I've also put a link in the chat. Facebook has a page for best practices for nonprofits. However, it's not very good, because there's one Reels for nonprofits, and I clicked it and it says this page is not available. They're also really trying to push you to do ads, which for, that may work for a national big, like United Way Canada can afford to run ads. You guys probably can't, but there may be a little bit of information about some things that you can do. Like there is a video on Reels for nonprofit. Reels are those little vertical videos, like what Rhonda talked about. So there's a few things there. But I think they're really trying to get people to spend money.
Most
hap-
informative, Andrea. I really enjoyed it. I learned a tremendous amount in the 1.5 hours.
Thank you, Bill.
Larry?
Yeah, I want to thank Andrea, and I'd like to get her commitment to come back in at least a couple of months to see how we've all progressed. And I think that'll probably make you feel good, Andrea, to see the effect you really had on us.
All right. Well, I will chat with Rhonda, and I'll see if I can come back at some point and see what you guys have been up to.
She seems so qualified and probably so popular. Rhonda, I suggest you book her like today.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay. Let's not miss an opportunity here.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn off the recording